Hi, this is Bishop Craig in Lansing, and this is take one for the week of July 12th. Peace be with you. So my week away last week turned out to be a week of working from the cabin, and I learned some important lessons. First, I learned that it is hard to get away when you can't get away. So it takes more effort than I realized. Pastor Anderson will be taking next week away, along with Ann Stavros, and Pastor Sprang, I think, is taking the week after that away. And so I'm going to work really hard to see that they do a better job of being away than I did of being away. And Kathy and I will attempt to be away again, perhaps later in the summer. So it's hard to be away when you can't get away. That's the first lesson I learned. Second, I learned that the congregational kettle is on the stove and it's about to boil over. I think people have had enough of stuff, and frustration is expressing itself in congregations and conflicts that have been simmering for a long time. The heat is turned up, and I think that uncertainty and instability and lack of sustainability in congregations has been hastened by the pandemic. The scriptures have a long history of God's people taking out their frustrations on God's leaders. I'm thinking of Moses and Aaron and Miriam off the top of my head. I would only say that our leaders are human beings too, and they will hit their limits. So I'd invite us all to take a deep breath, to say a prayer before we reach out and lash out, to reread the Luther's explanation of the Eighth Commandment, and which is in the Small Catechism, and put the best spin on things, and to be gentle with each other. And part of being gentle with each other, I think, is we all need to cut ourselves some slack too. Now, and that's what I had to tell myself at the end of the week when I really didn't get the week off. You can't add, I failed at vacationing to everything else I did that week. Now, there's a difference between cutting myself some slack and being mad at everybody else. I can't do that. But as I seek to be gracious to others, I need to be gracious to myself. So those are the lessons that I learned from vacation. Perhaps you will learn some lessons as you try to get away without being away as well. So the governor put a statement out, an executive order out about masks. And I'm just going to put mine on for a minute. Kathy's like, don't put it on wrong. I think I got it right. So I'm going to put my Michigan mask on for a minute. I think I have now 1, 2, 3, 4 masks. I have this one. I have one from Humana. I have a purple one to go with my bishop's clothes, and I have a beautiful red one that matches my red vestments in case I ever get to do things like an ordination or an installation again. I'm also looking at a Notre Dame mask and a Mickey Mouse mask. So the new collection is masks. The executive order says that if we're out in public, we need to wear masks. Indoor gatherings, we need to wear masks. On the mass transit, we need to wear, in cat taxis and Ubers, we need to wear masks. The executive order says that if you are officiating at worship, you don't need to wear masks. So officiating at worship, you don't need to wear a mask, implies to me that everybody else who's not officiating has a mask on, right? It also says toward the bottom of the executive order that churches are not going to be prosecuted. Well, that's a good thing because that avoids all the church and state complications. But just because churches aren't going to be prosecuted doesn't mean we are above or exempt from the law. So we need to wear masks. And I believe a couple of things. This is just Craig's opinion, that the churches not being prosecuted are not about, they're about congregations who wrongly decide we won't wear masks, not about congregations who say we're wearing masks, but Johnny refuses because Johnny doesn't want to wear a mask, right? So if your congregation says we're wearing masks, friends, we're wearing masks. And my rule continues to be the same. Anybody breaks if I was the pastor, anybody breaks the things we put in place, social distancing, masks, those kind of things, we suspend indoor, we suspend outdoor, we suspend all worship for 2 weeks because we all quarantine again. So I got phone calls on masks, so I want to just tell you that I think we need to wear masks. And I also think that what the executive order says is worship. Okay, if we're having worship, I think if we're having coffee hour, which I don't know why you would, or we're having Bible study, or we're having whatever we're having, family potluck, or whatever it is, again, I don't know why you would, masks need to be in place. That just because something is in a church building doesn't make it church. Does that make sense? So Craig's rant on masks, because people have reached out to ask. The next thing that I guess I want to talk to you all about is Zoom. One of the things that I didn't get to do last week, yay, were Zoom meetings and email. So I'm catching up on email, doing a pretty good job. And Zoom meetings, I didn't have any, and that felt really restful. I don't know about you, but I find Zoom meetings extra taxing. And I read an article that says they take like 5 times the energy of a face-to-face meeting. So if you get tired from Zoom, maybe limit your Zoom. I'm back to it this week. I think I have 18 hours of Zoom. So 2 of the Zoom meetings that I'm excited about, one is today, later in the day on Monday. Pastor Anderson and I were meeting with some experts to plan what will be, we hope will be, the next 2 of 5 years with an emphasis on racial justice. So we're trying to find a way to keep that emphasis ongoing and to help our whole synod to grow, realizing that we are in different places. And so that's happening today. And then on Saturday, we're having a Zoom meeting that you can still register for to talk about restarting Sunday school, which has taken on some new urgency as we are talking about restarting school. And of course, there's no roadmap for restarting Sunday school, but we'll have some conversation about it. That is, I think, Saturday at 11. So 2 Zoom meetings to let you know about. Looking ahead to the reading for Sunday, it's the parable of the weeds among the wheat. Someone sows weeds among the wheat. I'm preaching, so my sermon will be available on Wednesday, and then we'll release it on Sunday. So I don't want to say too much and give everything I'm thinking away. But the good news in this reading is judgment will come. Judgment will come. And that should make us both hopeful, I think, and uncomfortable. I think that's what judgment does. Because the truth of the matter is, if things go on as they are, weeds among the wheat, 2 things will happen. Some of us will be overflowing with rage, and things will get worse. Others of us will become hopeless and despairing and kind of opt out. So judgment says the time will come when things will be made right. The weeds will be removed from the wheat. God is just much more patient than sometimes we're ready for. And God is perhaps much more aware that as easy as it looks that there is weeds among the wheat, it is sometimes challenging to determine what is a weed and what is a wheat. So judgment is coming is the first good news. Things will be made right. I guess the second piece of good news is the judgment that is coming from God, not us. So, wow. That's take 1 for the week of July 12th. I hope you're well. I hope you're hanging in. I'm holding you in my prayers. I know we're all getting tired. I invite us to not grow weary in doing good and to be patient and gentle and graceful with one another. And know that I'm here if you need me. The peace of Christ be with you always.